Drip irrigation is great until it isn't. So hi everyone, and welcome back to the Southerner's Northern Garden. So I wanted to go over a little bit more irrigation issues today specifically. So 2 days ago when I came home, I noticed there was a little water in our road, just a little bit. And as I went to check the mail, I saw that the water main hole was full of water. So I'm going to take you over there right quick. So you can see here a little bit, it's filling up with water. When I came home the other day, it was completely full all the way up here. So we've removed it. There's actually a leak on my sprinkler system that's slightly under the ground right here. Hopefully the person will come out tomorrow to address it. This essentially means that I've had to cut the water off all my plants for the past 2 days, which, given how much rain we had last week, normally wouldn't be a problem, but the plants very quickly acclimate to being that wet and getting that much rain, and then when you don't have that much water available for them or can't water them, they tend to get stressed extremely quickly. So yesterday I had to hand water a little bit of stuff, and today I actually turned the water back on so I could water some more of the beds for a little bit before I cut it back off. The leak's pretty minor, but it's bad enough that if it was running for several hours, that hole would completely fill up again. So essentially what I've come to tell you is drip irrigation is not set it and forget it. Despite my drip irrigation video and how easily I said it is to set up drip and get it going, you can't simply set it up and expect it to work consistently. You need to set a little money aside every year for maintenance. I have actually had that happen 2 years ago, and it was supposed to be repaired. I don't know what happened, if it just went bad or the connection wasn't good to begin with and it failed again. So we're going to get that addressed, because that specific issue controls all the water to my house, because that's where the meter runs to my house. And very quickly, if you have a garden my size, that can be very detrimental to any of your plants if they're going several days without any water. I'm going to, in my new areas of my garden bed, start incorporating more drought tolerant plants like coneflower, this yarrow that you've seen in my video. That does not mean I'm not putting any more hydrangeas in my garden. That's certainly something that I love and that my garden just would not be the same without. So what I am going to start focusing on is more drought tolerant plants, but also a lot of my garden is in its 3rd year, or at least had 1 year in the ground. So those areas of the garden are fine. I didn't necessarily have to water them today. I did, just because we've had so much rain recently and they've gotten used to being that wet, but they would have survived until tomorrow when the guys come out and repair that sprinkler issue. My biggest problem is where I have annuals in the ground that need that consistent moisture. So despite all the rain we had last week, those definitely need moisture. I'm going to take you up to show you the 22 plant annual container that I planted up a few weeks ago, and you can see that I may have made not so good of a choice in a particular annual I put in there. So you can see this sweet potato vine right here is pretty droopy, and it has not been happy with the amount of water it's getting. So I mentioned when I planted all these up that I just hooked this in directly to the existing drip irrigation for the beds in this area that run right there, and that I may have to move it to my annual container drip system, which is a bit separate, which is what these petunias are and the ferns. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, because the beds themselves I do not water every day. I did get these beautiful caladiums though from Proven Winners. Look at those things. They finally put them on sale and I was like, gotta have them. They're only annuals, but I'll be digging them up and storing the corms or bringing them in as houseplants at the end of the year. That's a great option. And they're just gorgeous. These actually survive in sun, this specific variety. So I've tucked them here under this annual container to add a little bit of color, and there's some over there as well. So some of the plants in this container are suffering pretty bad. So what I may end up doing is running a line from where those are hooked up, which starts on this side of the house right next to the porch, and bring the line around the sidewalk and down, just so that this container gets watered twice a day for like 10 minutes, like the containers of the supertunias in the front. So that's basically all I wanted to address. So although drip, I wouldn't trade it for the world, I'm certainly glad my garden's on it. I could not have the garden that I have without it. That you must check on it every now and then. It is not set and forget. I specifically walk around my garden every day just to check the plants to make sure there's no drip emitters clogged, because if you live in an area that has hard water like I do, we actually had to put a water softener on our house. The hard water could plug those drip emitters eventually. So I walk around and make sure all the plants are looking okay. If any are wilting, I will water specifically, and then I will see if water is coming out from those drip emitters. So right here on my hydrangea north side of my house, I have drip emitters to everything, and they're just the black tubing that runs to each individual plant, because this is not fully planted up. But you can see here there's a drip emitter, so next time I run irrigation, if this plant was suffering, I would come to make sure water was pouring out of this drip emitter. If it was not coming out of the drip emitter, then I know that it's potentially clogged or needs to be replaced. So drip irrigation is certainly not set and forget, and I don't want you to ever think that. But it is, quite honestly, one of the best ways to water your garden and to not have to be consistently outside watering every day. So before I go, I want to show you a couple blooms in the garden that I wasn't able to get the other day in my last video, just so you have an idea of what the garden's looking like right now. These are the 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 hibiscus that I were mentioning that's so gorgeous. You can see how many blooms are on it now that it's not raining. And it's interesting because some of the blooms are more white, like this one, and some have a little more pink in it. I have found that it's very temperature dependent. If the weather is cooler, the blooms tend to be a little more white. So yesterday and today the weather wasn't too bad. We had a lot of cloud cover. It was in the 70s mostly all day. So they tend to be a little more white when they open up. If it gets hotter, they tend to appear more pink. We have the Pinky Winky hydrangeas that are looking great. The blooms are still getting much larger, and they're starting to show up a little pink coloration now. So I did show you this oak leaf hydrangea the other day, and despite it raining all last week and me keeping it watered, within a matter of days, it has suddenly just decided to brown out and curl up like it was not getting enough water. So I poured some water on it today. I'm gonna keep it watered every day now because it's going through some transplant shock since I did get it planted so late. And it should be fine. I may have to cut the blooms off of it. In fact, I may come through and cut them off. Oak leaf hydrangeas you're not supposed to prune because they bloom on old wood, but if I just come through and snip off the blooms themselves, that will be fine for next year. I hate that because they're so pretty. I could bring them inside now that they're dried, but there's not any that are consistently looking good that will look okay in dried arrangements. My Lady of Shalott Rose is finally blooming quite a lot, and the blooms are absolutely gorgeous. Check out this gorgeous daylily specimen. This is Cosmic Traveler. Some more beautiful blooms. This is a better view of the Salome Peony Display Daylily by Proven Winners. I have more dahlias that are starting to bloom. This one is Cornell Bronze, or it's supposed to be, but it's not looking very bronze to me. What do y'all guys think? We have this one, which is called 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. And look at this surprise I just discovered. And that's pretty much it, you guys. I just wanted to convey that drip irrigation is not a set and forget, and I hope you found this valuable, because if you do invest in drip irrigation, just know the timers go bad, drip emitters get clogged, and it's not a one and done situation. It does require maintenance over the years, but it is still one of the best investments you can make in the garden. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Shed supplies are getting delivered tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have a video on that coming up in the next 3 or 4 days. Take care, everyone, and remember, in a world full of hate, be a light. Bye.